One day, during an attempt to modify an Atari 2600, a freak accident caused a tear in the space-time continuum. Now, stuck in a partially collapsed infinite temporal loop, Duke is trying to repair the torn time fragments and get back to the present. Trapped within the Atari and accompanying him on his mission, the disembodied spirit of the 1980s, 90AT, is helping Duke relive his childhood memories to repair the fractured timeline. If Duke cannot remember the key elements that shaped his childhood and escaped the temporal loop, then the 1980s will never have existed.
Alright, 90AT, man, we've made some really good progress lately, but it looks like we have a ways to go before this time loop is fully repaired. So let's forge ahead, shall we?
Do you remember comic books from the 80s?
Man, knowing me, I probably had a ton of comics as a kid, but the memories are definitely fuzzy. You got something that can help me out?
If you're looking for adventure this summer, escape with Marvel Comics. Fight crime with Spider-Man, meet the Fantastic Four, and watch Captain America in action. May the Force be with you as you battle the evil empire in Star Wars. Discover the secrets of the South American jungle in Raiders of the Lost Ark. And with Marvel Comics, you're never alone because they can go with you in the car or to the park, even on a rainy day. Marvel Comics are your ticket to fun and adventure this summer.
Man, commercials were funny back then. I love how they just filmed the comics laying in the grass like that. But yeah, the memories are definitely starting to come back now. One thing that's coming to me that was different back then than how it is today is that you could pretty much buy comic books wherever you went back then. The grocery store, 7-Elevens, the drugstore, they all had that white wire spinning rack with all the comics in it. And they were a lot cheaper too. I think for the most part they were around 75 cents a piece compared to what, $3 or $4 a pop now? Alright, AT, hit me with a fresh batch of 1980s comics. Oh yeah, look at these beauties. And of course the first thing you do when you get a fresh new comic book is, oh man, that takes me back. I really like collecting comics for toys that I played with and cartoons that I watched, such as Silverhawks here. It's a great cartoon series that I really liked. This was a short-lived kind of toy and cartoon series, Centurions. I don't remember much about that, but I do remember having a couple of the toys and watching the cartoon a little bit. Oh, and we got the Smurfs here. This one, number 1, too. This one's 60 cents, probably pretty old here. Let's see, 1982. So, I'm also noticing the paper quality in these older comics is much like that of a newspaper. Much lower quality back then. Now they're glossy and thicker paper, which is also probably why they cost more. But back in the 80s, the paper was much like a newspaper was. So as you can see here, oh man, you guys remember V? This was a great. They had 2, I think, made-for-TV kind of movies. One was called V, I think, and one was V: The Final Battle. And then there was like a short-lived TV series that lasted, I think, just 1 season. But this was really cool. Had the lizard guys that ripped their face off, and you know, it's kind of like Star Wars-esque with the laser guns and spaceships. It was a really cool show. Oh, of course, you got He-Man here. Classic. Love me some He-Man. And of course, my favorite TV show slash toy slash comic was Transformers. And check this one out. Number 3. With a guest appearance from Spider-Man, because you know Transformers was done by Marvel initially, so of course they're going to put Spider-Man in one of them. So how cool was that to have a Transformers comic with Spider-Man in it, in the black suit too? So that's cool. I have a ton of Transformers comics. There's a couple more here. They always had great covers on them. Love my Transformers comics. Had some video game comics too. Here is Atari Force. I don't remember much about, somehow these characters were somehow related to one of the games. I don't remember which one, but I'll have to look that up. But, yeah, I don't remember. Pretty interesting, though. We got, not a very good game, but here we have Bayou Billy the comic, which of course has Bayou Billy ad on the back. Oh, yeah, then I collected for movies that I liked as well. Of course, what's the 80s without Indiana Jones, right? So there you go, some Indiana Jones comics there. Oh, I love this movie as a kid, The Last Starfighter. Really cool movie. This is the movie adaptation, so really cool. one of my favorite movies of all time, 1989's Batman from Tim Burton. This is the movie adaptation of that. And this one's got really good artwork, as you can see here. One of the cool things about the movie adaptations is there were often little subtle differences in the dialogue and the scenes. It was kind of neat to see the differences in the comic from the movie. So pretty cool stuff there. Really like this one. This is probably from the 70s actually, 40 cents. Flash Gordon, based off the movie. You guys remember that movie? Flash! It's a miracle! Then we got some DC comic superheroes. I was more into Marvel, but I like DC as well. Here's a Justice League comic. This one's probably from the early 80s as well. 1982. Green Lantern. Always liked Green Lantern. He was cool. Green Lantern's awesome. I wasn't a big Superman fan, but I did have some Superman comics. Here's him fighting Bizarro. If you remember him from the cartoon series, he could always talk backwards or something. I guess like Yoda a little bit. Here's a Batman and Superman comic together. Pretty cool. And my all-time favorite, of course, Spider-Man. Love Spider-Man. I had tons and tons of Spider-Man comics. He was my favorite. And here is Web of Spider-Man #1 with the black suit. I think this is the origin of the black suit. Let's see what year this is from. 85. So really cool having that. Whoops. Here's one with the Human Torch. Always like crossovers where they had other comic heroes in there with them. Pretty cool. But one of the coolest things to do when looking through these old comics is to check out the ads. It's such an intriguing glimpse into the past and that chapter of American pop culture, and they're really fun to go through. So let's check some out. We'll start with some earlier ones here. Oh, right off the bat, check that out. Oh, that's so cool. We have an M Network Atari ad. How cool is that? Oh, cool, look at that. That is, I love that one. That is Mario Brothers on the Atari. Very cool. We have a Flash Force 2000 from Matchbox. I think I do remember those. That's pretty cool. Anybody remember those toys? Here we have another Atari ad for Frogger from Parker Brothers. Here we have more Atari ads. This one is for Parker Brothers games. Q-Bert, Popeye, Pole Position from a totally awesome young man there whose name is Dave Jackson, and he is an expert gamesman, it says. Not a gamer, a gamesman. Interesting. Oh, then on the back we've got more Atari video game ads for He-Man there. And as you can see here, check that out. That is from my local library in Pasadena, Maryland, Rivera Beach there, from 1987. I used to buy comics from the library, I think for $0.25 a piece. So that was really cool. I have a lot of these are from the library. Oh man, check this one out. Check out that Walkman you can win there. Remember Walkmans? Very cool to see that in a comic there. Let's see, AM/FM radio has stereo LED indicating, pocket clip for easy carrying, 2-channel volume control, mono stereo switch, headphone antenna. Man, it has it all. That is so funny. Yeah, in the earlier comics, I see a lot of ads for candy and bubble gum and cartoons. You know, definitely could tell these were geared towards a younger audience earlier on. This is cool in the back of this one, my Justice League comic. There is a Lone Ranger ad for some Lone Ranger toys. In the earlier 80s, you know, Westerns were still kind of popular. I remember loving Lone Ranger as a kid, and I still watched Westerns on television and everything. Oh, check that out. That is so cool. That, my friend's name is on there, Ben Schmidt, and he must have given this to me. His address is on here. He lived right down the street from me. His address, 175 Meadow Road. I was 235 Meadow Road. And he was one of my good friends I used to play with as a kid. That's so cool to find his name written on here in his own handwriting. That's a cool find. That's a cool one. Got Star Wars the Arcade for the Atari 2600. Lots of cool Atari ads. Love seeing those. I remember those. You guys remember Mad Balls from the 80s? They were just basically balls with like funny faces on them and stuff. But I remember those. Oh, yes. I had one of those. Remember the Transformer watches? They weren't really Transformers, but they were watches that transformed, much like a Transformer. But I remember having one of those. pretty cool. Got an ad here for some Saturday morning cartoons. The Jetsons there. And Galtar? I don't remember that one. Every Sunday morning. So, and this one's every weekday. So it actually wasn't Saturday morning. It was weekday cartoons and a Sunday morning cartoon. Cool. Oh, that's a cool ad. Look at that one. I'm loving that one. GoBots. Love me some GoBots. How cool is that? Oh, that's a cool one. Choose Your Own Adventure books. Pretty cool. I had a bunch of those. Memories are kind of fuzzy though. Maybe we'll have to do a segment on those, AT. What do you think? Oh, that's a cool one. Mask. Mask toys. Love Mask toys. Really cool cartoon. Really cool comics actually. Got a couple of Mask comics. And really cool toy line. Ah, this one's so 80s. Check this out. This is about Saturday morning cartoons, I believe. You got Hulk Hogan there. Iconic character from the 80s. With some, yeah, Muppet Babies on there too. Really cool. The Wuzzles. I remember those Bernstein Bears. So cool. Yeah, so here's kind of a sign of the times as well. A lot of the toys and ads and stuff were geared towards military stuff. You got tanks and army men, and it's just a sign of the times. That was real popular back when I was a kid to still play with army men and guns and stuff. Things have changed quite a bit, but again, it's really neat to see this stuff to kind of get a sense of how things were back in the 80s. Now that's funny. We have a Transformers comic. On the first page, we have a GoBots advertisement. So that's pretty interesting. They were competitors. So I think that's funny that they put a GoBots ad right in the front of a Transformers comic. Pretty funny. Oh man, look at this one. This one is epic. This is for a Saturday morning cartoon lineup. And look at all the cool characters in this ad. How cool was that to see all that in one ad? All those great 80s characters. Got Spider-Man there. Got Silver Surfer. The Chipmunks, Punky Brewster, Mr. T. That is just so cool to see that. Love it. So now we're getting into some later comics. This is from the late 80s here. And look at this. We got a Konami handheld Ninja Turtles game. Pretty cool. Uh-oh. We got an NES ad here. Sky Shark. Not a great game as far as I can remember, but there you go from Taito. Always cool to see Nintendo. Oh, look at that. Another Taito. Operation Wolf. All in the same comic. This one's got the mother load in it. Oh, yeah. Bionic Commando ad. This one's got a ton of Nintendo stuff. Gosh, another nothing but Nintendo ads in this one. Got an Acclaim controller there. Oh, and then on the back we got TurboGrafx 16 advertisement. Pretty cool. So I'm starting to see the interesting transition as the comics creep towards the 90s of the target audience. Earlier we had bubblegum and cereal and cartoons, and now we're getting video games and lots of acne ads for zit creams and stuff. There's another Clearasil ad. Oh, another zit cream ad.
What are zits?
You know, pimples, the red bumps teenagers get on their face.
Why do they get pimples?
I don't know, hormones, eating too much sugar, that kind of a thing.
That's gross.
All right, well, don't your capacitors swell up and leak? That's the same thing. Isn't that gross too?
No. Did you ever get pimples?
I may have gotten a few. Can we change the subject, Dr. Phil? I'm trying to do something here.
Humans are disgusting.
Anyway, here's another great ad. This is Castlevania 2 for the NES. How cool is that to see in a comic book? I love that. That is awesome. Here's an ad for the infamous U-Force for the NES. Never had one, never even tried one, but it's cool to see the ad in here. I'm also noticing the differences in these later comics with the paper quality has improved quite a bit, and the artwork is really getting good. Check out some of that cool artwork in this 1989 Spider-Man comic book. And also, you're seeing, again, it's geared more towards, teenage boys with the Mary Jane in the skimpy outfit there. You see a lot of that stuff in the later comics. So it's very, very interesting how, as the time went on, they seemed to gear them more towards older boys. So I think that's very interesting. And the ads reflect that, and so does the content of the comics themselves. I have so many fond memories of reading comic books as a kid. The anticipation for seeing how those stories would continue, and the excitement that I would get when I saw the next issue on the rack at the store, and then I'd bring the comic books home and read them in my bunk bed before I went to sleep. What a wonderful way to close out a day in the 80s.
How did you have time to read if you played so many video games?
That's actually a really good question, AT. Even with having a lot of video games and watching a lot of TV as a kid, I still love to read a lot. Reading engages your imagination in a different way than TV and video games, and I think it was important for my development, and still is important for me to continue to read. I think with the competition of cell phones and iPads, reading often takes a back seat, and I'm guilty of it too. But I think as evidenced by the lack of comics that we see in the grocery stores, for example, I think it's a shame that we don't see kids walking around reading comic books instead of looking at their cell phones and tablets all day.
I'm Captain O.G. Readmore. My motto's tried and true. Read a book today, I bet you'll say, oh, gee, I'll read more too.
What the heck was that? Was that sarcasm? Are you trying to say I did a PSA there at the end with the reading thing? Is that what that meant?
That was lame. Don't be a sellout.
What? It wasn't a PSA, it was just an observation.
Stuck in the 80s has jumped the shark.
Jumped. Oh, we're breaking the fourth wall now? Is that what we're doing? I didn't approve that.